good morning, and welcome back to the Soak channel. That's SOAK, Son of a King, Son of the Most High God. Hey guys, thank you all so much for logging in once again this morning. Forgive me, guys, I'm looking all rough this morning, but I don't care about that. It is what it is this morning. I just came from the gym. I had to go back home and pick up a couple of things. Now I'm at the dentist office, and once I leave the dentist, I have to go to my daughter's field day. I'm not even sure if they're going to continue on with that field day today. It's been raining and everything, but it's cleared up, so I imagine they still will have it. Nevertheless, just was reading something again this morning, and we talk about trials and everything. And we just have to go through trials. That's just a part of life. In this passage that I want to read to you all this morning, along with some of my own personal things of life, it's just one of the things we have to deal with. And this is kind of geared towards the fellas. I'm talking about the women to some shape, form, or degree. However, it's really geared towards the fellas, because, it's just something that we have to deal with a lot of times, right? And so one of the things I want to mention is talking about walking through trials, and then I'm going to try to elaborate just a little bit on it once I'm done, okay? So it talks about walking through trials, and it says, let's start by debunking a myth, okay? Nowhere in the scripture does God promise us a practical life free from troubles. In fact, many times in the Bible, Christ followers find themselves persecuted, under attack, and facing trouble of all kinds. In the letter of James to first century believers, James informs them about the various trials that they will have to experience in life. Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him. That's James 1:12. Okay. When we see trials as a means of becoming more like Jesus Christ, then we will be blessed by them. Many of you can think back to a difficult season of your life. Looking back, you might be able to point out how God refined you coming out of that situation. God is often at work behind the scenes, okay, depending on our character, and enlarge our capacity even when we don't see it. Maybe you're going through one of those difficult seasons right now. Take this passage to heart. You can stand firm and persevere, knowing there is a promised reward in heaven. While rewards on this side of heaven are not promised, looking towards our final destination with Jesus gives us hope to endure the trials in the present moment. If we're walking through a difficult season of life, spend some time meditating on the promises of God. He promised us to never abandon or leave us, but to walk alongside us through our trials. And at the end of your trial, you will become more like Christ. So take a moment to thank God for his faithfulness and love in your life. I just want to elaborate on that just a little bit, right? We just go through seasons, man, and I'm just going to speak on my own personal life because, it's not, perfect, right? I'm going through things or trying to deal with things, whatever the case may be. And I'll talk briefly about my situation. I'm married, now, and, obviously all the men know that, marriage is not easy at all, It's exactly what I thought personally it was going to be. I know most people say, I never thought it was going to be this way, For me personally, this is exactly what I thought it was going to be, right? Although my wife is from, she's from a different country, right? She's Venezuelan. She's still a woman, you know what I'm saying? And for the guys, you all know what that means, right? My wife has great traits, you know what I mean? She's, she'll take care of the home. She's great with her daughter, when I'm married to her now. So she's my daughter as well. And, she definitely is a person who will try to think of others before she generally thinks of herself, right? Guys, we know that, you may get 80-20, 70-30, but you'll never get 100%. You know what I'm saying? It's just the way that they are built, right? It's the way that they think, and women, if you are honest with yourselves, a lot of times you all are thinking with your emotions. My wife and I, we had a conversation because there's sometimes a little communication discrepancy there, or communication or language barrier, but when I sit down and I talk to her, she says she understands or whatever, right? And so I go through this whole thing or whatever, because there's some things that we're dealing with or have dealt with or still dealing with. When I say to, okay, well, do you understand what I'm saying? And she says yes. And I said, okay, well, is it fair for me to be doing all these things that, but when I made the covenant and I made this promise to you, all these things, is it fair to me to be doing all these things? And then the one thing that I ask you to do, or maybe two things that I ask you to do, you won't even do it, So in other words, sometimes she won't even be able to get out of her own way, right? She won't be able to get out of her own way. Now, you may ask myself, what is that? Well, it's a couple of things, but let me see if I can give you one in particular thing. All right, just one thing in particular. I don't want to get too personal, but one thing in particular. Okay, so this one thing in particular is like, she wants to start, or we talked about starting the business or whatever the case may be, right? But one of the things my wife wants to do is she wants to bring her aunt here, right? Love Tia, love her aunt. That's what we call her in Spanish. The Spanish is believe auntie is Tia. And, she wants to bring her here, right? And sometimes I'm like, okay, well, that's fine and good, but the reason she wants to bring her here is because she wants her to watch the daughter in case while she's out, because she wants to start this cleaning service or whatever the case may be. And I'm like, okay, well, you can't wait on Tia to start the business or whatever the case may be. So she was dead set on not starting it or whatever the case may be. Now, we had already talked about these things, and, I'm telling her, look, you can't wait on your auntie to start this business or whatever the case may be. Suppose your auntie dies or whatever the case may be. I don't want us to start doing things or have things done because you are wanting somebody else to be here. Now, in her culture, she wants somebody to be here. So if something happens to the baby at school, then she can have Tia there to respond or whatever the case may be, because she says that she doesn't want to, leave the job, or if she's working or whatever. I'm like, no, listen, I like in this country, when you say, okay, when you're creating your own business, you make the schedule. You schedule your time to while the child's in school, right? These are some of the things I'm telling her. You schedule your time while the child's in school. And if anything happens to the child to where you need to go, you just tell the person that you're doing the cleaning the house or whatever it is that you're cleaning, hey, look, there's been something that's come up. I need to go to the school to take care of my child, etc., etc. Most people in our society know, oh, you got to go take care of your child? Hey, look, no problem at all. Are you coming back today? No, I'm not coming back today. Or I will be back today. Or if I don't come back today, I'll be back tomorrow to finish up what it is that I'm doing. But I really need to go home and try to go to the school and go get my daughter, whatever the case may be. This is generally how it works. You schedule your own time. You work your business the way you need to work it or whatever. When it comes down to children, most people understand that. But my wife just not wants to do it. She wants her aunt here, and she's just dead set against wanting to start this business. Now, meantime, in between time, I'm having to foot everything. Now, I'm the man of the house or whatever the case may be. I accept that with all that I am or whatever the case may be, right? So I have to deal with this here. So it's not like that I don't want to do that. I'm just saying, hey, look, you don't want to put your thing in waiting on your aunt, right? We don't want to we don't want to move in our lives based on what somebody else does. You just can't do that. But there again, my wife just doesn't want to move. Now, here's the thing, and here's the funny thing about it. She says, again, it is not fair. Because I asked her, and all these things that we've talked about, and that's just one thing. All these things that we talked about, I say, do you think it's fair that I'm doing everything that I said that I was going to do? Right? And there are things that I don't want to do that that she's wanted, or that she's told me that she would rather have, or whatever the case may be, and all these particular things. And these things I've done. And I told her, I said, do you think it's fair for me to do all the things that you've asking me to do and that you've asked me to do, and that you won't even do one or two of the things that I've asked you to do? such as what I just mentioned to you all. And she said, no, it's not fair. So I'm like, well, okay, well, marinate on that, and, come up with, what do you think you need to do about that? And my wife still has not budged on that. So it's not fair. She agrees with it. She's honest with herself and honest to me about what she thinks about it, but she just right now can't get out of her own way. So, here's the deal. I married her for better or for worse. I'm not saying that this is the worst. Obviously, it could be a whole bunch of things that are a whole bunch worse. She's my wife, and these are things that we just have to deal with. Okay, this is again just one of the things, right? But I'm saying that to say this here: trials can come to us in all type, shape, way, forms of fashion, right? But again, love is patient, love is kind, love endures, and so I'm in a covenant. You know what I mean? I'm not doing this only for her. I'm doing it because my Father is asking me, has told me to do this, right? I don't like some of these things that I'm having to do. And I know that I'm talking to the fellas a lot of times. I know that a lot of times you don't like it, right? You don't like it. You're used to your way, doing the things that you want to do, and so forth and so on. Again, most of us as men, good men, we're logical thinkers, right? Now, for all the men that are out there that are just, that's one of my dentist assistants pulling in. My appointment is in a couple of more minutes. So I'm going to log off here in just a second. Anyway, I have a lot of my friends, or whatever the case may be, they may be, dealing with whatever it is that they're dealing with or whatever. But again, I'm in a covenant. So I'm not doing this here because a lot of these things, some of these things I don't want to do. I don't, right? But again, it's not about me anymore, right? This is, God does these things to help shape us, to help form us, right? I know a lot of my friend guys, or whatever the case may be, they get so frustrated and aggravated with their wives and so forth, whatever. All of my good friends that are still married, they are enduring. They're going through the trials or whatever. Doesn't mean that they're perfect, right? I'm sure they have their flaws as well, right? But I mean staying in it. It's just so easy to say, you know what, I ain't finna deal with this no more. I'm gone. Matter of fact, go back to your country. Go back wherever it is that you're doing. Hey, or if you're in a situation, hey, go back with whoever it is. Go have that guy, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously I'm not good enough for you, whatever. Can't do that. All right. I didn't only make a covenant. I didn't only make a promise to her. I made a promise to God. So I have to endure. I have to accept these trials that I'm going to. Right? He who endures will receive the crown of life. That's all I'm saying, y'all. So when you think about those particular things and you're upset, you're mad, guess what? I just go meditate, go breathe for a minute, come back, because at the end of the day, she is a good woman, right? She's a good woman. I'm sure a lot of you all have good wives, right? It's just the way that they're built. But I believe partially the way God built them is to help us bring the best out of each other, right? How many times that you think you've done something that you pissed off God or made him upset? I don't want to use the term pissed off, but you get what I'm saying, right? That you made God mad or whatever, and he continued to love you. Well, guess what? I'm sure you all know that your wife can do that, and I'm sure, we can do that to them as well. We just have to tough it out. It's just easy. It's just real easy to just walk away. And I'm not in the business of walking away from anything. And I hope you're not in the business for walking away either. Keep God first. Think about what it is that he wants you to do. Let his will be done in your life and not that of your own. Hey guys, I hope this finds you well this morning. This is the Soak Channel. That's SOAK, Son of a King, Son of the Most High God. Hey guys, until next time, let's stay strong. Let's stay close to God. Please like, share, subscribe. Tell me what you think about what I said this morning, all right? I'd like to read your comments about what it is that I mentioned. Do you agree with it or do you don't agree with it? Either way, it's fine. I appreciate your comments. So until next time, hey guys, as always, let's get closer to God every day. It's not going to be easy, but those who endure will receive the crown of life. Take care of yourselves. I love you. Peace.